Okay, hello everybody. I'm going to be sharing with you some down and dirty tricks for photographers. We're going to start with camera raw files. I want to make sure that if you have a camera raw file, if you have something that looks like this that's with it, that says DW right here, and then it has the name and then it's an XMP, do not erase that. That is all your raw information for the camera raw file. That's very important not to erase these. And so when I go into some of these other pictures that you've sent me that have camera raw files and they don't have this with it, it makes me a little nervous because this is all the information. This is why we took raw pictures, okay? And you already know this, but when you switch your camera to shoot in the raw, you're telling your camera to turn off the sharpening and contrast and color correction and all that good stuff. And then when you try to edit them in Camera Raw or Lightroom, that's when you can add all of those things back in. But this is all of the information. Please don't erase that. Okay, before you actually start working in Adobe Bridge, Photoshop, Camera Raw, or even Flash or Premiere Pro, you have to close everything. As you can see here, I have everything that's closed. A lot of you guys, I've heard this a lot this year, is, well, I can't close my Chrome because I've got a lot of things opened in Echo for my other classes. Or I don't want to close this because, or I don't want to close my Word because it's got so many things opened and done it well. That's why some of you are having trouble, because Photoshop and Bridge, they take so much memory of your computer that you need everything that you can get. If you don't close everything, everything is going to go super slow. You're going to see that mine's going a little bit slow because my Screencast-O-Matic is on, which is what I'm videotaping this with. I'm actually going to speed this video up later, and so it might sound like I'm talking like Minnie Mouse, but at least it won't be as long. So I want to explain something that I think that you might already know, but if you don't, I just learned this, that there's two Camera Raw plugins. There's one that's in Adobe Bridge, it's Camera Raw right here, and then you also have another one that's in Photoshop. And so when we go with a PSD and we try to click this little icon for Camera Raw, or we try to click on it and say open with, and we don't even get Camera Raw as an option, that's because you can actually come into Photoshop and open it in Camera Raw. It's kind of weird. So let me show you how to do that real quick. You go File, Open, just like you normally do, and we go to our picture that's a PSD, and then this is the trick right here. You say Open in Camera Raw, right there. And that's the trick. So you can see here, this is a PSD that's opened up in Camera Raw. So I'm going to hit cancel. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty-gritty and let's start editing some of these in Camera Raw so you can understand that there's certain steps to take. We're actually going to edit this one first. So I could get there from Bridge by hitting Command R or hitting this little guy here, but I don't want to do that. I want to show you how to get to it by just using Mini Bridge. But I need this opened for you just so you can see this. This is the histogram that is in Camera Raw. Let's see how slow my computer's going. So I can, since this is a Camera Raw file, let's see if I can get it to show you. Okay, it's a Camera Raw file. I can just click on it like this and say open with, and Camera Raw will be one of the options. I want to share something else with you. If you look down at Lindsay's name or the file of the photograph, I can get it to pop back up again. Hello. Let me show you over here. I put a dash before it, and that's because I wanted it to go up to the top. So anytime you want something to go to the top, you can put a dash. I wanted these to be at the bottom, so I put a Z. You're supposed to be able to put an underline for it to work, but I couldn't get it to work on my computer. So you can see over here I did the same thing. I wanted photo 3 to be at the top, so I put a dash before it, and that's why instead of being alphabetically down here with P somewhere, it's at the top. So that's just one little trick there. Okay, so we're going to open this in Camera Raw. So see, I'm going through Photoshop, not Bridge. I'm going through Mini Bridge. Okay, now the first thing that I would do if I was you is, I don't know if you want to take notes or you want to write this down or you just have a really good memory. But I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of different shortcuts and things that I use. Not sure why my Photoshop is jumping up and down. Let's find out why. Sorry about that. My little Photoshop icon was jumping up and down here. I don't know if you could see it. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Okay, so sorry about that. Okay, so the very first step is to come over here and do O for original. I'm sorry. Let me get these off of here real quick. I'm so sorry. Okay, so here's the picture. The very first thing to do is to come over here to snapshots, and I'm going to hit O, or you can type it out if you want to, original, so that we have this original picture. The next thing I would do is hit I. Actually, I'm going to hit F so that it goes full screen for you. I, or it's the third icon from over here, is called white balance. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to find a medium gray, and just keep clicking until you think it looks good. And then you can hit P. It shows you before and after. Okay, before and after. I'm going to keep clicking around. Let me just hit something dark to see what's... Ooh, it turned green. Yuck. Okay, so let's keep clicking around. I'm going to come up here to this medium gray. I'm going to hit P. That's before. That's after. Okay, I like that. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hit a WB for white balance. So I can go to original and white balance, or I can just hit P and then hit P again. Okay, so these are actually in order of how you want to use them. So the first thing would be temperature. You can kind of mess around with that if you want. It's at 2550 right now. I've already kind of played with this a little bit and I don't really like it like any other way. So after playing with it a little bit, I can just double click it and it'll go back. Oh, it went back to the original one. Okay, that's not cool. So I'm going to have to come over here and go back to white balance because I like that one. That was interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, so we've done white balance. I know these two, I don't need to do them because I've already experimented with them. Okay, here's something kind of cool. I'm hitting F. And looking at this histogram right here, for a really good picture, you want it to look like this, which I think is really interesting. This would be a perfectly balanced picture if you have your histogram looking like this. In my experience, I haven't had one that is perfectly like this, so don't just try not to have this really high or this really high or this really low. Let's say that this is really high. Well, that's when you'll hit the black slider. If this is really high over here, you want to hit the white slider. This one right here is what we're going to hit right now, the exposure, because it's way off. Okay, so back to here, hit F for full screen. I'm going to try to get this to be shifted over here just a little bit more. I'm not going to be able to make it perfect, but see how it opened it up a little bit? Okay, so then I'm going to come over here I'm going to do EXP for exposure, and I'm going to say OK. Then I'm going to come over here, go down to the next thing, contrast. Okay, the best thing I can tell you is you just move it until you're looking at the histogram and seeing, and actually you're looking at the picture too. You're seeing what looks good. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things is you don't really know what looks good. But that's why the histogram is here to kind of show you what looks good. Okay, so I'm going to hit P. Okay, that's before and that's after. Okay, so I mean, you don't have to go and do every single one of these if you don't want to. I already forgot what it was. That's how bad my memory is, y'all. Contrast. I usually don't do this for every one of these. I usually just do all of these and then do a snapshot of basic just to let you know. Okay, so highlights, let's see if we need to up those. Nope, because see what's happening? So if anything, we need to bring them down a little bit. Okay, and look here, this side's up a little too high, and so let's see if this helps. Okay, whites. It's all kind of like you're just moving things around. Okay, I'm going to exaggerate something so you can see. See the peak over here? The peak on the left, that big high, that line there, that's not good. So we want to bring that down a little bit. Okay, and then I always just add a little bit of clarity to it because I know that my camera took all the clarity out. And then I'm weird, I always like to bump it just a little bit in vibrance. I don't touch saturation because that changes all of the colors for the whole thing, see? That actually doesn't look bad. And then vibrance just changes things that it thinks need to be changed. And the way to know how far is too far is you just move a slider, okay, and it's looking good, looking good, looking good. Okay, and when it looks bad, then just kind of back off just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say basic, and then I think that last one was, it wasn't saturation, vibrance. Okay, and so I'm going to hit P, that's before, that's after. Okay, it's already looking better. Okay, so every picture needs to have curves, even if it's just a little bump here and a little bump here, because I'll show you why. Here's the first one. White balance, exposure. Okay, from there to here. Okay, it makes the darks a little darker and it makes the lights a little lighter. Let's see. Oh, contrast. Okay, so we are right here on curves. Now, this is something I learned. I didn't know this. The third icon over is detail or sharpening. And if you're trying to make something more clear, I guess you could say. Hang on just a second. Okay. If you're trying to make something a little more clear, you need to add a little bit of sharpening to it. If you're doing faces or you're trying to make their faces look really, really soft, then you would do luminance. Let me just show you what that does. Let me bring this down, and the luminance is up. It's very, very hard to see. Okay, stare right at the axe the axe and the wood right in the middle. Okay, that's before. I'm sorry, that's before. And then this is after adding luminance. Okay, very, very small. Look at the wood at the bottom. The wood, like right in the middle in the bottom. Okay, this is what we just did, and then this is before. So see, it's sharper here, and then now after adding luminance, it kind of blurred it just a little bit. Okay, I don't like that for this particular picture, so I'm going to bring that back. I'm going to, actually I double clicked it. I don't want luminance on this, but I do want sharpening. Every picture you do should have a little bit of sharpening. The guy in my, the photographer that works for, well, he doesn't work for Adobe Photoshop, but he is a, anyway, it doesn't matter. He's a professional photographer. He says every photograph needs at least 25 on the sharpening thing here. I'm like, okay. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to call it detail, sharpen. Okay, and then I'm going to hit P. That's before, that's after. If I just want to go to curves, the one before it, okay, that's curves. And then here's detail sharpen. I don't know if I like that because it blurred this wood down at the bottom. You see that? Curves. Look at this. It's nice and sharp down here on that wood in the middle and the bottom. I like that. And then detail sharpen. I don't really like the way it blurred that right there. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to make sure I'm clicked on that one. And I'm going to figure out what's going on here. Oh, no wonder. Okay, there it comes back. See right at the bottom? Okay. I'm glad I noticed that. So I'm going to say detail sharpen luminosity down. I mean, you can call these whatever you want to. In fact, you don't even have to make these snapshots. I would suggest at least making this one so that you can have something to compare it to. The computer will always keep that original for you in preview, but I just like to have it here. I'm not sure why, I just like it. Okay, so here's this one, and then here's my last one that I like so far. Okay, so I'm detail sharpen, luminosity down. Okay, HSL stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. This is where, like, if you think something's too red or too green or whatever, you can actually play around with this. For this particular picture, there's not really anything that I can change there. And luminance, we already know what that does, but this will change the blurriness of these specific colors. So let's just take orange, because there's a lot of orange right in here. Let's just see what happens to the orange. Okay, it kind of made it darker, actually. Okay, and then now it's making it brighter. I mean, you can play around with these if you want to. I kind of think I like it. I don't know, let's see. I don't know. Just something to play with if you want to. For something like this, I would definitely use one of these so that I can go back and look. I can just hit P for preview, but see, it gives you the original picture. So it's between this one and this one. I like this one better. Okay, so then the next thing, you don't have to do this. This is taste. I always do about 25, 20 to, let's do 20 on this one, a little vignette. I'm not sure why I like doing that, but I do. I'm going to hit C for crop, and I'm not sure why I do this last. I'm kind of bizarre. I should have done it first maybe, but I always forget. Maybe that's why. And you can actually change different crops right here. If you want a 4x5 or 5x7 or whatever, you can actually do your own custom one if you want to. If you don't want the rule of thirds to show, you can turn it off. I actually like it because it helps me kind of make sure that I'm kind of using this right, and I can move this around. Y'all know this part already. Just so that you know, I'm cropping off this part because I don't really think we need this bucket here. Okay, so let us pause for a minute. Okay, so what happened is Photoshop was reading my camera raw file, and it was taking kind of a long time, but you can see here that it brought the picture up into Photoshop, and it saved all my thing. I didn't even have to hit save, I just have to hit done. Let me show you that one more time because that's kind of important. Let's open it back in raw. Let's make sure our snapshots are still here. My computer's going slow. Okay, so here it is right here. And if you want to, once you get it edited the way you want to, you can just hit done. And what that does is it just saves one file. What I like to do is, let me think real quick. I like to do this, I just remembered. This is something that I just learned also, is I'm going to do Lindsay, I'm going to call it Axe because it's an axe. Axe edited, and I'm going to leave it as the capital JPG, and I need to put it in the right folder. This is going to be weird, but I think it's important that you know this. I might not be doing this the right way. This is just the way that I do it. Where is Lindsay? There she is. Okay, Axe edited JPG. Okay, this is not going to save the snapshots. This is just going to be basically what you see here. Okay, and it's saving right down here. Okay, let's pause. Okay, so the one that I just saved was the edited one, and I did that as a JPEG, and what that did is it saved my final picture for me. Okay, except now I'm looking at this and I'm not sure why this wasn't cropped. Oh, let's see here. Crop, 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 crop. You know what? I didn't save a cropped version, darn it. Okay. So here, when I saved it as a JPEG, capital JPG, it's here. This is the one that this is basically my final idea. This doesn't save any of my snapshots. So I have this one open in Camera Raw right now, and so that I can see the difference between the two, and I know that I'm going to keep all of this stuff, I'm going to go back and put original, and then I'm going to say done. And that'll go back to the original so that you can see this is what we had before, and this is what we edited in Camera Raw. But you have to remember that this one, I'm going to hit Command R so you can see, does not have the snapshots in it. It's taken me a long time to figure out what's going on, but I finally figured it out. Okay, so please stay tuned for the next video. I don't want to make this one too long. I'm going to show you some pictures that I found of yours that just have simple fixes that I think are going to amaze you. So stay tuned for that.